Welcome to Soul Sisteries.
Hello and welcome to Soul Sisteries. We just had a great conversation with Krista and Martin, the founders of Zach's House. It was an amazing conversation, full of so much hope as we talked about connectedness and the knowing that love never dies and that our loved ones are still with us even after they transition out of this physical world.
Just as we know, we discovered that their beautiful Zach, who transitioned 6 years ago, is here with them now, is here with us as we had this conversation. What I love about these two and what I think is going to resonate with so well with everybody is they are incredibly down to earth, very real, so identifiable. And gosh, I can't wait for everyone to hear their story and their journey. So it's a wonderful and just inspiring thing.
Yep. Let's get to it. We are here today with Martin and Krista Anderton, the founders of Zach's House, a gathering place that provides support for bereaved people. It focuses on 4 pillars of support: mindfulness, health and well-being, consciousness, and energy healing. While the organization started in the UK, it has since provided support and education around the globe. To share a bit, their story with Zach's House began on April 17th, 2019, the day their only child passed away at just 20 years old following a car accident. Their world completely crumbled that day, and they had no idea how they would get through this so-called life. The first couple of days were absolute agony, and they were living in what they considered hell on earth. On the 3rd day, though, something miraculous happened. They found Zach, or rather, he found them. He has continued to show them through signs and synchronicities that we never die, and he is still right by their side, helping them to grow and become who they set out to be and carry on doing what they agreed to do in their soul plan. They understand how deep grief feels and what it is like to have someone you love so dearly transition before you. They also now know that there is a whole other world out there that is sometimes confusing and hard to explain. But as they have learned more about the spiritual realm and where Zach is, they have been able to keep their relationship alive and continue to communicate with him. He is an amazing soul and has changed the lives of so many while he was here physically, and he continues to do so in spirit. Just a year later, following my own deep losses, I found Zach, which is a story for another day, but he led me to Zach's House and to Martin and Krista. Martin says that he finds hope through direct connection, and Krista through interconnectedness, and we are certainly going to let them talk about that while we're here today. And it's not lost on Donna and I that today is the anniversary of Zach's transition 6 years ago. So welcome, Martin and Krista, and we are so happy that you agreed to spend some of your day with us.
And welcome, Zach,
Yes.
very much here as well.
He's here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thank you for having all of us.
And Zach, thanks you too.
Good. So I would love if you wouldn't just kind of share. I know I shared kind of the really small background of Zach's House, but I would love to have you share the journey of what got you to where you are here today in 2025.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So you mentioned that the first 2 days were living hell. Everybody understands that. The 3rd day that we reconnected with Zach, if you like, maybe that's where we should probably start. So the first couple of days, undescribable, but immediately Krista wanted to go to the crash site, and she was insistent to do this. I didn't want to do that.
I didn't want to go. Let me throw this in there. I didn't want to go. I felt compelled, and I didn't understand at that time why I was so adamant. And Zach was telling me, but I didn't realize at the time.
Yeah.
He was telling me, get to the crash site. You need to get to the crash site. I didn't want to go, but I needed to go, and we needed to go.
No, you didn't interrupt.
So,
the reason that we didn't want to go was because we're a family from motorsport. And so Zach was a professional driver. And throughout all of our lives, we've been involved with motorsport, which means we've seen lots of accidents. And so the reason that we didn't want to go to the crash site was because it wouldn't take much for us to reconstruct that in our minds, which was the resistance to us going probably. But we did, as Krista said. And as soon as we got out of the car, we went our separate ways. We were very quiet and we milled around.
And my mom was here as well. So my mom had come over. So she went, there was the three of us. So that's important because there was three people that went. And we all went separate ways at the site.
It was a very personal time, I suppose. And probably 20 minutes later, we reconvened at the car. And as we reconvened at the car, all three of us almost simultaneously said, Zach's with us, right? And we could feel it. So if you pause that for a second, that was the start of our journey, really. We were not spiritual people before that, right? We were ultra competitive, very material focused, pretty typical people, I suppose, but we were ultra competitive. And so this, and so this was this us saying Zach's with us was very alien to us, but it was immediate. So we got in the car, and Zach came home with us. So those first 2 days, when it was this living hell, people would come and visit us, and everybody's experienced that.
About the car, you forgot the important part.
And it was like icy cold. The house was like ice. It was dark and depressing, and it was awful, and we could sense that.
And our house has never been that way.
No.
When Zach was physically here,
Right.
friends came over. It's just a lovely energy in this house, and it has been, except for those 2 days. And it was awful, and it wasn't just the grief speaking.
Right.
No.
It was he wasn't here.
Right.
He was waiting, I think, but he just wasn't.
It was
only for 2 days.
It was like the house was in mourning as well.
Right.
The house has a consciousness to it, and the house was in mourning. It's as simple as that. Zach comes home 3 days later, and the house is immediately back to its old self, back to being alive again.
People commented on it when his friends came over, like, "Oh, it feels back to normal again." Even though Zach's not here, but we knew he was. He is here.
Yes.
So,
why?
So there was the first hint. That was the ember, if you like, just to get us going. That spark. What Krista wanted me to mention was that
I love this bit.
When we're back I know we're bluffing backwards and forwards, but you'll see why. So when we were getting into the car at the crash site now, the car is special. I won't go into the details of that, but it's special. And it has a particular mode on it, which is called race mode. Remember, we come from motorsport. This mode cannot be set and then you get out of the car and you get back in and it's still in this mode. It reverts back to normal. So you have to make a mechanical movement to put it back into this mode, right? So when we got in the car after we'd been at the crash site and started the car, it started in that race mode. Can't be done. Cannot mechanically be done, but it did. Called the manufacturer a few weeks later just to figure out if there was, and they're like, no, you're mistaken, it can't be done.
It
did. It started off.
No, we're not mistaken.
Right?
And he did it.
So all of us, so as soon as we went to the crash site, from that moment on, Zach has been leading us and continues to do so. That's how we see it. So we see in normal life, you would say that, the parent is sort of the trainer, and the parent's purpose is to help their kids develop. Well, we think it's the reverse.
Not in our situation.
Not in our
situation.
And actually, if you reflect on it, it doesn't work that way. We have the perception that, as parents, we are developing our kids. But on reflection, even if Zach hadn't gone home and now we understand Zach is the leader and the parent, really, we can see that in all of our lives where it's actually the actions that our kids do that develops us.
Yes.
Yes.
We see that in the physical, and
Sure.
now we see it in spades with Zach not needing a physical body.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, and Dawn, I know you're going to jump in too, but so day
Go for it.
3, there's this connection with Zach. He, so I know not physically, but I'm going to say physically, he physically went home with you.
Yeah.
And I know he's been with you since. I know if you go on a trip, he's with you. I know if you go to the track, he's with you. I know when you're at home, he's with you. What happened between day 3? And again, I met you just a year later when Zach's house was up and running and already providing support to so many people. What happened in that year to have you create this place that really provides hope and strength for so many people?
I'd say it's what happened to us.
Yeah.
We thought we have to share this because there's got to be others out there who have either experienced similar situations or have done it, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to talk about it, where to go, because you can't really, you can speak about it in the general public and population. It is getting better.
Yes.
But it's still very hard at lots of places. So we thought we need a place that's like a hub for anyone, any groups. We just wanted to bring everyone together and connect people, not necessarily Zach's house, but different places, different people, bringing everyone together and helping people while we're here along the way.
Yeah.
I've got one story that I would love to
Please.
share. Okay.
Yeah.
And we both know this lady. I won't mention her, but she was a medium. And she, right after Zach passed, I said to Martin, we need her to come over and come to the house. And I'm going to bring his friends over because they need to experience this. They need to know, or I hope that they will know. I didn't want to force it on them, but hope that they would understand and know Zach is still here and all their loved ones were still here.
Yeah.
So she came over and there was about 45 of his friends that came over. And we set up the room downstairs with all the chairs.
Looked like a wedding.
It did look like a wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just prior to this, we brought Zach's race car home, and it's literally on the wall here.
5 feet away from his right.
Martin put it, a huge race car.
Yeah.
It's bolted. It's up on the wall. And so we did that because we thought that can never go anywhere. We need it. So it's part of it. So we brought it home and put it on the wall. And then we had his race helmet made into a cake because this was for his birthday. I just remembered it was October 17th. And so we had a birthday cake made out of his race helmet. It looked identical to his race helmet. Those were the very important points. So she comes in and she starts reading and doing amazing with the kids and brings not just Zach, but one of the guy's grandparents through. And it was great. And he was kind of in shock because I don't think a lot of these guys, because a lot of them are race drivers.
Right.
And they really were like, nah. But you can't deny it when someone comes through and starts country western dancing.
Yeah.
Your granddad, and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
And then Zach and a lot of others came through, it was really a fun night. It was the next night. We always have in the house with us, especially in the beginning. Martin, myself, and one of Zach's friends' girlfriends was sitting next to me. We were all down in one of the rooms. Martin was in the corner in a chair. I was next to him on the couch, and then Zach's friend's girlfriend was next to me on the couch. I had his laptop on my lap, and for me, I need to hear and see Zach. I always did. From the time he passed, I I know people have a hard time with that, and that's okay because we all grieve differently. But I needed to hear him, and I needed to see him. So I looked all the time. I was looking at his photos. This was his computer, and it's a touch screen. And when you touch the screen with your finger, you see the fingerprint.
Yeah.
So it was sitting on my lap, and I was scrolling through his photos, and it was on his race car. And it just stopped. It was stopped there, and I started talking to Charlotte and Martin, and we were just chatting, and all of a sudden, a fingerprint on the screen went from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and none of us we were like, oh my God, do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? And none of us had our phones. So
we didn't think about it.
No, because you didn't think. You never think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Why? Now I do, but I didn't then. Yeah. So we didn't want to move because I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on? So 2, Zach kept touching the screen. You could see where he was touching it, and he made his image of his race car huge across the whole screen, enlarged it. And I was like, oh my God. And then touched it again and shrunk it back to normal size. Now, if you hadn't seen this stuff, you would not believe it, but we all three saw it.
That's key.
Yes. And then when it was normal size, one finger, you could see the one finger on the screen, touching it, start scrolling through the pictures. His pictures start moving till he got to his race helmet. Did the same thing with his race helmet and made it huge, enlarged it, shrunk it back down. All the while we're seeing his fingerprints. So you can see him touching the screen.
My gosh.
You're like, oh my God, he's touching the screen. He's right here.
Yeah.
And then he scrolled back.
No doubt.
Scrolled right back. Yeah, no doubt. Scrolled right back to the picture of his race car and left it.
Wow.
It was the next day after we had the meeting.
Yes.
And had a party for his birthday. Had the cake made of his helmet and just put the race car on the wall.
Yeah.
So he knew and was letting us know about the cake, about the race car.
Yeah.
I'm right here. And I'm going to show you I'm right here by doing this.
Absolutely. I mean, bravo, Zach. And it's glorious and beautiful and wonderful. Here's the thing that I want to ask you, because this is the challenge for so many. And you know that I live in this world as well as you do. And I understand all that you're talking about, but the challenge that so many come up against, despite this incontrovertible evidence, I mean, it is just so clear and apparent to us, but yet so many will still take that and doubt themselves. It's coincidence. It's whatever it is. And of course, then there's the whole realm of individuals who find something dark in all of that, which God bless. But
exactly. That's what we always say. That's their journey.
That's their journey. Exactly. So what do you think it is about you? What is it that allowed you, or what activity of you allowed you to embrace and say yes and agree and accept that all of this is so? I mean, I get it. And of course it's so. But I'd love you to talk a little on that.
Yeah.
So are we controversial now? So I think religion plays its place. And I think religion creates faith. And that faith is supposed to see you through the hard times, because you're going to believe, you're going to trust, and it's that trust and belief that's the hug, right? Yeah. Well, that's all being achieved by somebody telling you that, either verbally or you've read the book, but it is all indirect. And I'm not dismissing it in any way, but that wasn't enough for us.
Right.
Right. And Zach knew that. So we needed to be able to experience things for us to, quite frankly, remain here. Right. We needed that. Somebody saying he's fine just didn't cut it.
The thing that used to not irritate, this isn't the right word, but the thing that used to wind me up, that rubbed me the wrong way. Oh, he's in heaven. And I'm like, heaven's right here.
Mhm.
He's right here. Oh, bless him, or oh, bless you. And I just thought, well, no, bless you, because you don't,
Because you don't know. Because you don't know.
Bless you.
Yeah.
And I'll send you love and everything
Yeah.
else, but it's, you don't know.
Here's
They
another
don't
one.
know.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why is he resting?
They are resting.
Why would he be resting?
We know our
Yes.
boys are so not resting.
Yeah. Everything I know about Zach, he doesn't rest. I don't know that that's in the vocabulary.
You see, so the concept is alien. The concept doesn't sit well. It's like, well, why would he need to rest? I don't understand.
Not resting.
Right? So when
you won't let us rest.
No. So when you start to get those personal connections and you acknowledge them, that strengthens them.
Yes.
And that strengthening of them makes you become more aware, and the more you become aware, the easier it is to connect, and all of a sudden you have a new relationship.
Right.
It's not the relationship you had before, it's a new relationship, and it's, quite frankly, it's fuller.
Yes.
Because you're able to connect on different levels than you could connect before.
Yes.
When really all you had was your actions, be those verbal or anything else. That's how we communicate in the physical. We're very limited in how we can communicate here. Whereas when you don't need that and you learn how to expand that, your communication, that the bandwidth grows significantly. And you communicate better. And that's what it's like.
It is beautiful and profound. Thank you for all of that. Absolutely to that. I remember, Kenny had not been gone long, and just a few months after Zach's, our stories coincide. I did have this history of, I heard things, I saw things, and but the difference for me post Kenny was I learned to be intentional about it. I wasn't before that time. But even so, even having that, I remember anguishing. Kenny had not been gone and long, and just anguishing, honey, I need to know that you are here. I just need to know that you are here. And within moments, I'm not doing anything with my phone. My hands are not on my phone. My phone popped up an old text message of his in which he said, literally, "Yes, I'm here. I love you." Exactly to what you're speaking on. And it was like, from that moment, that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, let's go.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I mean, it's, sorry, Martin.
No, go ahead.
It's still, for a lot of people and for all of us, it's still, even though we categorically know, I categorically know, I know Martin does, we don't die. Our physical bodies go, but they're just the vessels that carry us in. We still go on, and we're just the same. But it's still really difficult. So I don't ever people to think that we don't still grieve. Of course we do, in our own ways. But I still miss the physical. Oh my God, I miss that so bad. And some days, no matter how much my vibration is higher, or how much I try, and we do meditations and sound healing, and we have our chats, and you still are going to go through that bit of grief. But knowing, for me, that Zach is still right here, that's what gets me through every day. That's how I breathe every day. If that might help someone else, I don't know.
I think the reality that when you don't have a physical body, you can still communicate in this reality. Makes you
better
challenge
sometimes.
What this reality is. Because if we perceive that this physical reality requires things in the physical to be present, if you like, but then you prove that you don't need a physical body to be present in this physical reality, then what's this all about? you start to ask these really deep questions. And I'll speak for myself. I wasn't a particularly deep person before Zach went home. Right? I was pretty shallow and superficial in reflection. But Zach, that's where the education comes. That's where him being the leader for us comes from. We think of things on a completely different level to what we did before.
Zach was always a deep thinker.
Yeah.
We talked about stuff, and I used to joke with him in the kitchen because I had a food business, so he used to be able to work with me sometimes when he wasn't racing or working on the car or whatever he was doing. I remember stood there one time and I said, Zach, I'm laughing because I was so immature. He was so much more mature than I ever was. Yeah. And we were laughing, and I said, you should be the dad. And I remember thinking, Zach, you should be the dad. You're so much more mature. Yeah. And he would just laugh.
Yeah.
His arm around me, and I, looking back on that, he was the dad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So much to pass on to you both. And I know for myself, I was kind of introduced to Zach in a class I was taking with a medium to learn how to connect with both Kenny and my partner, and Zach showed up. And I remember being like, well, who is this Zach kid? I have a Zach, a nephew who's alive in this world, but I didn't know who this kid was that was showing up, hanging out with David and Kenny. And I thought, what is going on? And I
that's where I met Zach.
Yes, right. Yes.
Dave,
and the very next week was when somebody told me about you guys and this Zach's house, and maybe I need to look up Zach's house. And I went, oh, this is exactly why Zach was coming to me, because I was supposed to find you somehow. So but part of my journey, and I know it's where you both have found hope. Martin, you said through direct connection and your personal experience. Krista, through the interconnectedness and the consciousness that you're all one, that we're all one. So I would love to hear each of you. I know it's a little different for each of you. I would love to hear you speak about that a little bit, how you find hope in that connectedness.
I'll give you a story. I'll make it quick. That's my thing.
I like your stories, Martin. I like the stories.
All right. So,
but you guys won't know this, but there's a standing joke in Zach's house on a Friday night. We have a chat, especially between a couple of the gals members that are in there. We now go, Zach's laughing. Martin always says, I'll make it quick. His stories are never very quick.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best to make it brief. Right. So I'm going to roll the clock back now. I want to say it's day 4. I think it was day 4 or day 5 that after Zach had gone home, or didn't actually go anywhere. And a friend of his, it's a convoluted thing, but a friend of his who had been a soldier in Afghanistan, who had got blown up and had terrible PTSD and just a horrendous story, pulls through our gates in his new camper van and knocks on the door and says, I want to show you my camper van. This was his way of dealing with it for himself. And this was his way of, softening it for us, I suppose. The last thing I wanted to do was go look at this camper van. I couldn't care less about a camper van, right? But he was insistent. So a friend of mine, myself, and this guy walked out to have a look at his camper van. Okay. And the two of them were looking at it, and I was there just a zombie, because we are a zombie at that point, right? And all of a sudden, I heard, Zach, you need one of these, right? And it was in my head. And I thought, oh my God, so this is what grief feels like. This is the next stage, because I'm trying to figure this out, and I am going nuts because I can actually hear him in my head, right? I could hear him in my head louder than I could hear these two guys with physical bodies.
Yeah.
Right? And actually, I lost the train of the conversation because Zach was in my ear talking, you need one of these. Your mom needs to go away on the weekends. You need one of these, and blah, blah, blah.
Which is how Zach is.
Yeah.
I love it.
He will not, he won't stop until he gets
until you listen. Yeah.
You got to listen, right? So a few minutes later, we are going back in the house. And as we walk in the house, I hear him say, I'll buy you one. Right? And in my mind, I've said, Zach, You can't buy me one. You're dead. Right? And it was a strange, surreal thing. Right? I couldn't understand what was going on. But that was it, right? An hour or two later, the mail comes, and it's weird how automatic you still become when you're going through this stuff. And the mail came, and Krista got the mail, right? And she opened something that was really distressing and handed it to me, right?
Yeah, I was like, can't deal with this.
Right?
You need to take it.
2 hours after he'd said he was going to buy the van.
Yeah.
2 hours, right? And it's a letter from his employer, and his employer was very upset that, they awful for Zach, but Zach had a life insurance policy with work, and they needed our information to be able to, move that in. I'm covered in goosebumps.
Yeah, we didn't know we had a life insurance policy. No. Didn't know. Never even entered our heads. And when I read it, I'm like, that's because I didn't know about the van story at this point. I crying and thinking, I don't want this money.
No.
I don't want this money.
Pointless. It's just a number on a piece of paper. What's the point of that?
Said, Martin, I don't know. You take it. And then he told me the story. And then,
oh my gosh.
Sobbing.
Right.
Like, my van.
You'd think the story's over, but it's not.
No.
Right? So we didn't know anything about these camper vans. So a week or two later, still in a daze, you've got to do something.
And Zach wanted, sorry, Martin.
No, go ahead.
He wanted a camper van when he was here physically. I didn't know that. Martin knew that. When we used to go to the racetrack stuff, at that point, because we spent everything we had on his racing, we couldn't afford a camper van.
Right.
So we bought, every cent went into his racing. So he never got a camper van physically when he was here.
He's got one now.
Sorry, but he has one
anyway,
now.
That's besides.
Yeah.
So that's another story. But sorry, Martin, interrupt.
No. So we start this quest of getting a camper van. We didn't know anything about it. And so we went to all these places. It turns out there is a myriad of choices and features that you can have on a camper van, right? I hadn't got a clue. Right? So we're driving around to all these different places over the next few weeks. And we didn't know, not that it mattered, but we didn't know what the value of that was. It wouldn't have mattered if it was a penny, right? That we would have bought a camper van because that's just what we had to do, right? Important, we didn't know the value of it at this time. And the reason for that is because there was a bit of, on a side note, there was a little bit of a struggle with the employer because his death certificate had his job, but also professional race driver, and that must have been a bit of a challenge for the insurance. So this took longer, right? And it's important to say that because we're fishing around trying to find this camper van. Anyway, one of these trips out, we finish up going a 5-hour drive to the same place that this Jason, the guy that had his camper van that brought us. So we finish up going to this same location 5 hours away to have a look at what their camper vans were like, right? And on that particular occasion, his sister, Ella, who is incredibly close to Zach, was with us on the trip. And Ella at this point, very, very close, right? Yeah. And Ella, we get there, and Ella's like, hey, has Zach said anything? Because now we know, and I'm like, no.
And we, at this point, Ella and I, we were all looking, and for me, at a baby blue and white one, and I'm like, oh, I love this, but Zach would have this. I love this one, but I'm like, Zach wouldn't have this one. Right? So we were happy about this. And then...
So I walk away, and as I walk away from the girls and the van, a moment later, it's just like I see him again, and he's like, hey, it's the red one 2 rows back. So this place is packed. There must be 60, 70 of these camper vans. They all look the same, and they're all next to each other, really, really close together, right? Packed into this very small space, so you can't see a red one. They're all multicolours, but no red. I walk 2 rows back and 1 over, and there's a red one. I'm like, it's the only red one, right? So as I walk towards the red one, the sales guy comes over, wait for it. So, oh, we don't get many of these, and it's a bit unusual inside. It's just like a race car inside. So we bought it. Easiest sale he's ever got, right?
Don't
Well, it's got all these features. Wouldn't know what they are anyway, right?
No.
Oh my God.
Over. So we go in to do the paperwork, right? And it's a little office, and there's 2 chairs in front of his desk, and there's 3 of us. So Krista and I don't want to sit down, and Ella sits down on one of these chairs. and we're looking. So we're viewing the room we're viewing from the doorway into this room, and the sales guy is facing Ella and facing us, and we're in the background. And then he's there. He's sitting next to her. He's sitting there. He's made of millions of little dots. Is the best way to describe it. The best way I could describe it would be like static on an old TV. But he's there. He's there, right? And he's got his arm. He's got one leg and half of his body on the chair, and the other leg and the other half of his body are in the space between the two chairs, and he's got his arm across the back of her chair, and he's there.
Wow.
Right. So I fall to pieces.
Well, I didn't see him, but
right.
Fall to pieces.
Yeah.
We have to go back for the van a couple of weeks later. Long story. By this point, we now know what the value of his settlement, of his thing is, right? Which again isn't important, but it is for the story. So we go back, and it's a couple of thousand less. Excuse me, his settlement's a couple of thousand more than the price of the van.
Okay.
And then the guy goes,
knew that.
"You have some of this. Do you need a bit of this?" And we're like, "Yeah, we need all that, whatever that is." So all of a sudden he adds that on, and now we're very close to his figure.
Settlement.
And the deal is finished. And so we get in the van, and he turns it on and goes, "I'm so sorry. I can't believe it. There's no fuel in it. So if you give us a little bit, we'll go put some fuel in." I'm like, "It doesn't matter. We'll just go down the road and gas it up." Right? So we do that. And after we put the fuel in, there's about £5 left from what the value of his settlement was. So he
knew exactly.
He knew. So how is that possible, right? How can that be?
Yeah. There is no coincidence. There's nothing in. Yes.
Don't believe in coincidences.
There isn't.
No.
You know, so that's what started Zach's house, really.
Yeah.
That was really it. It was the absolute confirmation that there can't be coincidences. We don't understand what's going on. But the reason that we are okay is because we now we don't believe, we know.
Yeah.
So we've got a belief, we haven't got a faith, we've got to know. And it's the knowing that's the difference.
So it's the knowing. And I know in the work that I do as a medium, that's it. It's to give people that validation, that knowing, to move from the hope, the belief, to the knowing. It changes everything in this journey, doesn't it? So what would you say to, the number of individuals who say, and you spoke on this a little bit earlier, so I'll say that, but what would you say to the number of individuals who say, well, I don't see my son sitting in the chair there. I don't have, this isn't true for me. So why you and not me? What do you have anything to say to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, we have a lot of that in our Friday night chat.
Yeah.
In our group, because, we all get different things. I think sorry, what I
go
for. Going to say something.
No.
I think we all grieve differently.
Yes,
and we all get the signs.
Yeah,
I just think sometimes we aren't aware of it because either we're in such deep grief, but that doesn't mean the signs aren't there.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes, I speak for myself as well.
Yeah.
We miss them because
I agree.
The grief is so strong sometimes and overwhelming.
I
However,
agree.
sometimes when we're in such deep grief, we often get the signs even more so. Because I think, and we have this chat as well, we're closer to them in such deep grief because grief is just love on a whole other level. So the more you grieve, the more you've loved. And so they feel that love, even though, it is, we call it grief, if you want to label it something. Yeah. And oftentimes that gets misconstrued, the name, the grief, the title.
Yeah.
People I've heard,
yes.
Oh, you're grieving, so you can't connect because you're No, I don't believe that, because some of my best connections with Zach were when I was in tremendous deep grief.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly the same. The same. And Krista, I want to give you an opportunity because we got to hear from Martin, but I want to hear you because your word was a little bit different. You talked about consciousness and interconnectedness, but it's that idea of knowing that you and Martin and Zach are all one. That I guess probably all of us are all one. So I want to hear you speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So that kind of falls on the back of Martin's story with the van.
Mm-hmm.
He saw him. He shared that with me. And then we've had lots of other things between us happen. And knowing that we are never separated, that we are connected. Nothing can separate us.
Yeah.
We just think with our brains, these filters, that we're separate.
Yeah.
Not. And when I realized that and understand well, you can't really understand what consciousness is because it's such a big, vast array of multitude of things.
Yes.
But to me, consciousness is that Zach is part of my soul. I'm part of Zach's soul.
Yeah.
I'm part of Martin's soul. Martin's part of my soul. I'm part of your soul. Your soul's part of my soul. We are all connected.
Yeah.
And we are all, I call it, different soul families.
Yeah.
But I know that I kind of see soul families as groups.
Yeah.
And knowing, I can't think what's it called, the medical term when you have the dots, the circles and the lines on it, helix.
So, yes, yeah.
Yeah, like a helix.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I see soul families. So you've got your main soul family here. I'm just going to use the example, Martin, Zach, right here, boom. His parents, my parents out here, but we're all connected. And then friends here, but we're all connected. And so to me, that's how my brain envisions it. Is that we're really all one.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I'm going to see Zach again. I know we see him here, but in a different way.
Yeah.
The knowing.
Yeah.
Knowing, that's again, that word keeps coming up, but that is what does it.
Yeah.
Knowing we're all connected.
So beautifully said, Krista. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's going to help a lot of people.
Oh, good. Yeah.
We're always fighting culture.
Mm-hmm.
Culture says you're an individual. Culture says that you've got to do it yourself. And it's all me. So culture's always driving this individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are all individuals, but we are not separated.
Right.
But culture, the way culture identifies you as an individual says that you are on your own. You are your own thing. And that's driven in all the time, in everything you see and everything you hear in life. And so you've got to, and you've been trained in that, from being a small child, you've got to be an individual, you've got to make your own way in life. It's all me, I.
Right.
You've got to challenge that, and this is the other part that we have to be able to do is accept just everything Krista's just said, that we are all interconnected, we have our individuality, but we are not separate. And that is, for us, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
If I may interject another little, and this is your time and your story, but I'm going to interject another little pennyism because but there's so much about our stories that coincide. And I too, my Kenny was that little guru who had so much wisdom as a little guy. Diana can attest to that, and was that individual. And I have the photograph of him when he's about 4 years old. And he had taken all of his Legos and the Lego board, and he had created this intricate design that I don't even understand it to this day, but it was all interconnection of pieces and colors and swirls. And he came to me and said, "Mommy, I want to tell you about this." Oh yeah, honey, what do you want to tell me? This is the puzzle of life.
Oh, wow.
Okay, babe. 3-year-old, 4-year-old guru. Thanks for that. So if anybody wants to see it, I have a puzzle of life. You can interpret it yourself. But it really, at the heart of it, it is that very interconnectedness you're talking about. That was the essence. So
I love that.
Yeah. Our boys, oh my gosh, magical.
They're pretty amazing.
Magical.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So guys, six years into this journey, and you've had stories for days. I know every time I meet with you, there's new stories, and Zach is ever present. And you've both done, whenever I meet anybody who's new on this journey, I tell them about you two, especially you two as a couple, and how you've kind of ridden this ride together, but also in very unique ways. I think you connect very differently with Zach. And I would love it if you're willing to share just what have you found, I guess, works the best for you to keep that connection with Zach.
Well, I know what you're going to say.
You go first. Come on.
I love you guys.
We love you too. So, for me, it's slightly different than Martin, where I like that. I'm going to say it's not just mediumship, because that's a label.
Right.
So it's that working with him, knowing it's him, and trusting it's him.
Yeah.
And then when you trust and you get the confirmations on the back of this, that's what does it for me. However you get there is fine, because everyone's different.
Yeah.
So you might get there through meditation. You might get there through mediumship. You might get there through just going out for a walk and walking in nature, just being open. But for me, that's it. Just being open to knowing. And, you start to hear spirit.
Yeah.
And they start to confirm things with you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's my confirmation. Boom. All right.
Let's keep going.
What's happened, and then you might have, something happen like this morning. So I'm going to share a quick story with Martin. I know it's probably needs.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. So this isn't my story; it's Martin's. But we wake up this morning, and again, today's the 6-year transition day. So we think, oh, we're okay, but we're going to go out in nature, blah blah blah. So Martin wakes up. Very rarely do you remember your dreams.
This is true.
I always remember my dreams, but Martin doesn't. So I always share my dreams with him, where he never shares them with me.
I'm strange.
No, and so are mine. So
I was talking about yours.
Mine. I don't want to tell him to. I'll get put in a padded cell sometime. I think. But so he wakes up and says, "Krista, I had a dream visit with Zach this morning. We were, and I won't tell the story. I'll let Martin, because it's his story. It's brilliant. They were at the go-kart track, and it was all proper racers, right? So he tells me this story, which I'll let him.
No, I don't need to tell the story.
Yeah, if you want to later, alleviate on. So then Ella, we've mentioned, that went with us to get the van. We communicate. We talk to her a lot and stuff. And she still messages us. She sent us a message this morning, and it popped up on her Facebook page. And what did it say exactly?
So it was the picture of the back of a shirt.
Yeah.
And this is the first thing that's popped up on her Facebook. And the shirt is being worn by somebody. It's the back of the shirt. And the back of the shirt says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, practice qualifying race. In other words, Friday practice, Saturday's qualifying, Sunday's race.
And that's what you do at the race.
That's his life.
Yes.
Right? That epitomizes, the back of the shirt epitomizes his life. His life as it's continued as well. So.
Yes.
She sent that over after Martin, just right after
Had
Martin.
the dream.
That's gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Yeah. So it's just going back to
that's
the question.
How it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And it's knowing, trusting, and going with it. And don't question. We have this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's so hard not to question.
Yeah.
Our human brains, these filters we have, always want us to question everything.
Yeah.
But exactly as you said, if you go with it and don't question, then the validations come. You get more and more and more. And that's just how it works. Yeah.
I think so. Going back to and I will stop talking, but going back to the very beginning, when you ask why we get so many signs, how we got so many signs and other people might not, I just said, who cares?
Yeah.
Listen, if it's not Zach, oh well. And if it is Zach, great,
Yeah.
and that's how I got
Yeah.
started. And I always go with it. And I think, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to be Zach, and he's going to go score.
Yes.
It wasn't me. So now he's going to drop something in. That
Yeah.
is, and then he's going to confirm it with a confirmation.
Yes.
So that
I like that.
helped me. Just who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares?
Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think people use the word skeptic wrong. I don't think they understand the meaning of the word skeptic. That's just an opinion. So that when people say a skeptic, then they often mean a naysayer, a denier, not actually in quite the opposite of being open-minded, but really a skeptic is an open-minded person that's prepared to consider everything. They're going to challenge everything, right? And I'm good with that. I'm totally good with a proper
100%.
skeptic, someone that's going to challenge everything.
Yeah.
Don't dismiss it.
Yes.
Challenge it,
Yes.
right? So, because if you do continue, as Krista, we all said, to accept these signs as what they are, there's nothing wrong with also, in my mind, the way I am, there's nothing wrong with also having an acceptance, but then a challenge to it. Because if you do keep on sort of challenging your acceptance that these signs are real, then you can only come to one conclusion, and that is that they're still here.
Yeah.
Right? So it's in my mind, it's okay to challenge, provided that you are challenging in a truly open-minded way.
Right.
And you are prepared to accept the conclusion that you come to. And if you keep looking at it and you keep accepting that these things are happening, then you can only logically come to one conclusion, that they're still here. That's my take.
Yeah. Right.
There was another, you get signs. Sorry, Diana, I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
You get signs just all the time. And again, this was a really quick one. I'll throw it out there because I love this one. And I think the parents will love it too. It was Mother's Day, and it was the first Mother's Day that Zach had been in spirit. And it was COVID. So here in the UK, which is where we live, there was absolutely not a soul out. Not a soul. And we were outside here cleaning out the shed we have. And all of Zach's stuff we pulled out of the shed. And
Something to do.
Sprawled out everywhere because we thought we need to organize this, right? And it's, everybody knows, these days are tough. They just are tough, no matter how much you know.
Yeah.
That's the understatement of the year.
It's hell. It is.
Yeah.
But even though you know. So I'm stood out there, and we went inside. I walked in to get a drink, and Martin was stood out there, and all of a sudden this thing comes like floating around. And I'm like, what's that? Comes floating into, we share a car park with next door. So it's a big car park, the house here. And the gates are locked, so nobody could walk in or anything.
Yeah.
Like, Martin said, "Oh, Krista, I think there's something out there for you from Zach." And I'm like, "What?" Go out and have a look. As I walk out, there's a balloon.
Helium balloon.
Big helium balloon, floating. He pulled it in. I know he did. He pulled it right in and put it right behind our shed. And I went around the corner, and it says, "Happy Mother's Day to the best mommy ever."
Oh,
And
he's so good.
It's real.
I've got the balloon.
Oh, yeah, 100% believe you. Of course it's real.
My point was I've kept the balloon because,
because it's a gift.
It's a gift from Zach.
It is.
He's on the other side. But he gave me a gift.
Yeah, he did.
And it doesn't stop. Yeah.
No.
He gets to keep giving you gifts even 6 years later without his body, and there's no doubt about that.
And the important piece, though, is that you received it. You accepted it and received it. And
I'm bawling, going, "Thank you, Zach."
Yeah.
Oh my God. And some people get feathers. Some people get, I get license plates. There's lots of things that people get. It's just accepting and knowing.
Kenny gave me a diamond.
Yes.
Oh, my God, amazing.
That was a good one.
A story for another day, but it is a good one.
Yeah.
I'll have to hear that one later. Yeah.
So you see, there's the memories don't stop when they don't have a physical body.
Right.
The memories keep coming. It doesn't change anything.
We have
Yes.
so many frequencies.
Yeah. Yes.
Hundreds of memories.
Yeah.
And here's the other take from it. This is just me on my
Sorry,
soapbox
then you need
now.
to answer a question.
Yeah, I'm so if Zach had not dispensed with his physical body, then that physical body could be living in Australia now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we would have a much more limited communication if Zach had retained his physical body, and that physical body, he decided he was going to go put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's not the same, but in a way, it can be a broader,
better communication
experience.
I say that all the time. I don't have to call David. I don't have to text him. I just get him now. I don't have to wait for him to respond to his text, at lunchtime or something. So
Exactly.
There is no response time in this. That's so good.
You'd have thought.
It's right.
It's
It's there.
It's instant. Yeah.
You get.
Yes.
And can we all say out loud too, because a lot of people in my world, they ask this all the time. Am I bugging them though? Am I taking too much of their time? Let's answer that.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Right.
No. And they're not too busy either. Some people say, "Oh, they're too busy doing something." No, they're not.
No.
They can be in many places at once, and they're not too busy.
Yeah.
They can be anywhere all at once.
Exactly.
No.
It's difficult because we have to get away from the confines of physicalities.
Mm-hmm.
So confines of physicality is I'm doing something, so I can't be doing something else.
Yeah.
That's because you're stuck in this thing. But you dispense with that if you can just move away from that. And as Chris says, you can be in an infinite number of places all the time. It is mind bending.
I was just going to say that. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. But without the body, the body contains us in one place, right? But without it, we can be anywhere. So okay, let's get back though, because I do want to hear Martin. Oh, You've shared a bunch of stories. I know Zach comes through to you in so many different ways. But what is, I guess, if you had to pick your ideal way to connect with Zach, or what works for you the best, do you think?
Okay, so my secret sauce, if you like, if all else fails, is meditation. But it's not meditation sitting doing the arm thing. It's meditation with headphones on, listening to particular sounds, right? So let me just back up on that real quick.
Yeah.
So early on, we had stacks of books everywhere, right? So we were trying to figure it out. And we had lots of people do this. We had literally columns of books all over the house where we were just trying to absorb knowledge to try to understand what was going on. And one of the things I bumped into was out-of-body experience, right? And I latched onto that. I latched onto that because I thought, well, if somebody can have an experience without their body, then that means they don't need their body. So if I can have an experience without my body, and I know I've had that experience, then I also know Zach doesn't need a body to have an experience. So Zach's fine. So that was my circle, that was my loop, that was the thought process, right? And I scratched around and dug about how to do that, and it was like the light bulb, the Edison, we had so many failures of trying to achieve this. But there was an organization that we were sort of drawn to, which is a thing called the Monroe Institute. And there was a guy called Bob Monroe who had these things happen naturally. And then he was a radio producer, and he worked on these frequencies and these headphones and these we'll call them meditations, but I would call them connection exercises, right? And they allow you to change your, I'll call it, brain state to allow your mind to go where it needs to go. And that's the shortest way I can probably say it. And when I do them pretty reliably and consistently, then I'm always in a better space. Sometimes I just drift off from doing them for a while, but I don't force them anymore.
Right.
And sometimes that means I stay good, and sometimes I dip a little bit. But when I dip, I know I can go back to those, and I'm back. Right. And is, for me, that's 100% reliable. And the experiences I've had are just
unbelievable.
Awesome.
I'm gonna say.
Right.
You know, and that's my secret sauce for me.
Person that does them as well. And I've never been a huge meditator, but now working with the Monroe, with the Monroe group, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. The thing for me, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to do, and they do it for you.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me on the back of the head. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is they kind of guide you, but the way that the formulas are done, alpha, beta, theta, delta, going on in your mind, they just take you, and you don't have to do anything. And before you know it, you're having these amazing experiences.
Yeah.
But you're not actually doing anything, but you are.
Right.
There's something really cruel about all this, right? Yeah. And the thing that's really cruel about it is the more desperate we are to connect, sometimes the harder it is to connect.
Yeah.
And that's a cruel thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you can find, it doesn't matter what it is, but if you can find whatever your secret source is that allows you to connect and allows you to release that desperation, then when the desperation dips a bit, for me, I can only speak for myself, for me, when the desperation dips, the connection clarity increases all the time. And before you know it, there's no desperation, because you don't need to be desperate, because you've got a great relationship that you've understood how to communicate again. But there is this thing you've got to figure. We're all individuals, but we're all connected. But you've got to figure this way out to get to accept where you are, to accept that desperation, but not have that desperation prevent you from hearing and seeing.
Right.
And
knowing.
Yeah. So wonderful. So let me ask you this, my friends. So if we were to go back in time, well before all of these events of your life and the journey that you're on now, and go back to you when you're, say, a kid, a young adolescent, if that kid were to look into and see where you are now and what you're doing now, what do you think they'd say about this journey?
Don't worry about the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Actually, nothing really matters. That's what I would have told myself as knowing what I know now as a child.
And I love that, going back to the kid and saying that. Yes, absolutely.
Nothing.
What do you think that kid would say to you now?
To me now?
Yeah.
That's what I think they'd say.
Yeah.
They would say to you also.
Don't worry about it. That's what they say. Nothing matters, because we're going to get a little deep here, and I wouldn't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but this life to me is a video game, and we're just playing a part in a game. That's what myself would tell me now. Is you're just playing a part in a play. Don't take life too seriously, even though, of course, it's hard, and of course we take it seriously, because you're going to as a human. But when you can, don't take life too seriously.
Thank you, Krista.
Yeah.
How about you, Martin?
I'm going to give it a different take.
Whatever comes to you.
The kid of me, looking at the me today, would say, I'm a stranger. I am not that person. So that person that was the kid that evolved into who I became, that person stopped being that person when Zach went home.
I get that.
I am a different person. I look the same, I sound the same, but I'm not the same person.
No, it's like your very DNA has changed.
It has. And that is a great thing. Because that person that I was, I wouldn't particularly want to be around today.
Wow.
Because that person he was all right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm great now, but the person the person that I didn't have any idea what was going on. That guy had his head in the sand and was in this game. And I'm glad I got my head out the sand, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And it's Zach that did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And to have to go through that experience, right? And I always hate when people do the whole, well, things happen for a reason. And it's like, okay, stop. I didn't need people to die for me to experience this. But there is a very different me than was here 5 and 6 years ago. So very interesting. So Donna, should we, go ahead, Krista.
Sorry, I think there's something out there. Now, I might be wrong, so if not, please disregard it. But something about the DNA that does change in our systems when we go through such loss, that we really aren't the same people. And I read that somewhere, and I can't remember where I read it. Like a medical journal, something that shows that our literal DNA does change.
Changes.
Yeah.
But I believe it. I feel it.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. I think all four of us, it's one of those things kind of like what we're talking about and this connection kind of beyond the physical that many people can't get until they get it because they're in this experience, right? And so I think other people could say, oh yeah, no, everything's just the same. And no, once you're here, it's a very different.
Like that Harry Potter thing, those skeletal horse things that you can't see until you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. Exactly. So should we kind of switch gears a little bit and jump into what we call our rapid fire, sis?
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to ask the first or do you want me to jump in?
Go for it, sis. Go. And we'd love to hear from each of
both.
You.
Yes.
You both have answers yes.
Yeah. So again, these are as fast as you want them to be. Don't have to think a lot about them. And they're not they're not going to change the world for anybody, but they're fun. So if you guys had a song, kind of like that walk-in song, you're walking up to the pitcher's mound or, going up to do your big TED talk. What is the walk-in song that would play while you're walking in?
The walk-in song.
What is your walk-in song?
Country Roads.
I was gonna say the same. Country Roads.
Both of you, Country Roads.
Yeah, Country Roads.
Okay, I love
Oh my
it.
God, I love that song.
Yes, me too.
So deeply. Oh, beautiful. Okay,
we just put it together.
We should. We could have done that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm asking, what book changed you?
Oh gosh, lots of books. I don't know if I can nail it down to one.
So hard.
Say a couple, 3. Throw out a few titles.
Yeah. I know there's one that we share that did
Just
change
say
us. It's called Reunions by Bob Monroe.
Yeah.
That's an amazing one.
Raymond Moody.
Raymond Moody, excuse me. Yeah, not Bob Monroe. Sorry, my brain's still on Monroe. Raymond Moody, Reunions. That's an amazing one.
Okay.
What about you? What's that one?
Adventures Out of the Body.
Oh, that's a good one.
By Bob Monroe.
Bob Monroe.
You have to do that.
Gosh, there's so many. So many.
Yeah. I think I've read the second one, not the first one. So I'll have to look that up. So
Yeah.
And I think I only read the second one because of you, Martin, because I think you recommended it in one of our Friday chats. Okay, what movie lives rent-free in your brain? What movie can you watch again and again and again?
Oh gosh. Okay. The Proposal.
Oh, fun.
Show.
Yeah.
I was just watching a couple scenes of that last night. I'm seeing a little taste of something. Oh, here we go.
Something to make you smile. Yeah.
When she dances with the grandma who's doing shaman.
She's so cute.
I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. How about you, Martin?
The Matrix.
Oh.
How fitting is that?
Oh.
So there's another universe point in this. So for a long time, for about a year or so, that DVD, The Matrix, was sitting in my laptop, and I would travel all over the country, and I kept forgetting way before 10, 15 years before Zach would know. And this Matrix DVD sat in that laptop, I kid you not, for over a year. I must have watched that damn film about 50 times, because every time I went away, the only thing I could watch was The Matrix.
Oh,
so it was drilled in. So, but even so, I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
There's a reason for
preparing
everything.
you. Mm-hmm.
Preparing me.
Yeah, it's preparing you.
Oh boy, do I understand
now,
that.
And David loved that movie. And anytime it would come on, if you're flipping channels, he would stop. I never really enjoyed it until after he passed. Then I started watching and going, oh, now I get some of this. This is starting to make sense to me, but it wasn't before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what did you love doing as a kid that you love doing to this day?
Oh gosh. I'm still going to say cooking.
That's good because I'm going to say eating.
You two were made for each other.
It is a perfect match. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Very good. So what in your world, I guess, is lighting you up right now? What gives you light, gives you joy?
Well, I'd say lots of things, but narrow it down. Doing these kind of chats like with you gals, this is amazing. It gives us joy because we get to share our story and share Zach with the world. Being together and knowing Zach's with us each day. When I wake up each day, I do wake up a lot in the morning and go, God, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Still here.
I understand that too.
Yeah. But then knowing that
They're
Zach's
together.
here and wondering what today's going to behold with him.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Experimenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in a room that we call the Psychomantium. We call it that because that's from the book Reunions by Raymond Moody. Right, and he made one. I won't go into the details.
Right.
It's a good read. It's only a little book. It's a good read. I think it is anyway. And we made our own. And as a result of that, this is the space that we come into to work on our connections. And as a result, because we have them all the time, but we work on it in here.
Yes.
And as we work on it in here, we also record what goes on in here in many, many different ways. And as a result of that, we can see some things in the physical that you can't see through your naked eye. And we've experienced things that are, we'll use the word unbelievable. And we only do that not because we're trying to do something, but because we don't know what we're doing and we're just playing, trying to do stuff.
We don't. We think we're the puppets. So
Yes.
Zach, Kenny, David, all the loved ones that are part of Zach's house.
Yeah.
They're guiding us every step of the way. So we think, oh, that's a great idea.
Yes.
It wasn't our idea.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I love that though. Your experiments are pretty amazing. So good.
So cool. So cool. All right. What color is hope?
1, 2, 3.
Purple.
Oh, there you go. Yay. I like that. What does hope sound like?
1, 2, 3. Zach.
Oh, I was just going to say.
Oh, dang it. I thought we'd do it together.
I like that.
It does
Zach is hope.
Zach is hope.
Yeah.
Sorry, I let you down on that one.
No, you're all right.
You did not. I have to go back though. So the 1, 2, 3 purple is the color of hope. Why is that?
You go.
Want to say it together?
No, go ahead. Just say it. Why is purple the hope? Why? Yeah.
Wait,
but why?
wait, what?
Why is purple?
Why is purple the color of hope?
Hope.
Oh, because it was Zach's favorite color.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I found we went through all of Zach's stuff and it was awesome. It was another thing Zach wrote about mom, mom did a mom thing when he was very young. And it says, what's your mom? My mom's favorite color is purple.
Oh.
And I thought, oh my God. And I just found that.
And that's been his color.
Not for nothing. Kenny's favorite color, purple.
Yeah.
See? And I can see a purple light behind your head too.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
She
is.
does have the purple.
Yeah,
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Always.
Connected.
Yeah.
So let's ask, so connectedness or interconnectedness is, complete that statement. Connectedness is, or interconnectedness is?
Everything. Sorry, Martin. You going to say that?
Everything.
Everything.
guys are the best.
You guys do belong together. Yes.
You do.
We'll wrap it up with hope. Hope is what? Hope is
knowing that we live on, and we live on together, that we never are separated. But the biggest thing is hope, is knowing.
Yeah.
I would say
Knowing.
hope equals knowing.
Yeah.
For me.
Gosh, amen to that. You too. We cannot thank you. And I'm sorry.
Did Martin want to
cut off Martin saying
It's okay.
because I'm so used to you all are just agreeing on everything.
I know we agree on everything. Well,
I would say hope is oxygen.
Oh,
Right.
I like that
So-
too.
that's a good
Right.
one.
So without hope,
That's
Yeah.
true.
I couldn't.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hope,
Yeah.
hope is my
Good shout.
oxygen.
I'm glad
I
we
like
had a
that.
moment for that answer. That's a
Yes.
great answer.
That is good. Yeah.
I'm going to take that one with me.
Yeah.
Truly, though, you two, thank you for taking your time and just sharing so freely of your hearts, your story. Zach, thank you for being here with us, because we know you are and we feel you here.
Penny and David.
Yep.
Yes.
And Kenny and David.
I want to make sure too that whoever is listening knows where they can find you. Of course, I know where they can find you, but do you want to share Facebook, your website, anything else that you want people to know where they can find you?
I think website's the best way to find us, really, because I've got Facebook, but I'm not
Yeah.
reading on it.
Yeah.
We do have it on Facebook.
Yeah.
But
And the website is Zach's House UK.
Almost. So
Okay.
it's Zach's House.
ZACHS.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
.org.uk.
Okay. Thank you. .org.uk. I knew the UK was in there.
With a CH and .org.uk.
Yes.
Got
Perfect.
videos on there and just stuff. If anybody,
Yeah.
they don't even have to reach out to us if they just want to have a look.
Yeah.
Hopefully, even if it helps one person, then it's
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will share its information about Zach's House. It's events going on at Zach's House. It's resources. It's the blog that y'all keep. It's even stories from members of Zach's House and the amazing connections they're having with their own children and loved ones, which is pretty amazing. So a great resource.
By the way, we haven't put any new blogs on for a long time.
A few months.
We've been
They happen when
we've
they're
been
supposed
too
to.
busy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But we're not
But-
going to be so busy now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
wonderful. And although it started because of Zach, thank you so much. I know that it's not solely focused on helping those who have lost children. It's any loss at all, any grief that people need kind of help navigating. I think you guys have been a great resource for me and so many other people. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here, because I enjoy all of my time with you. And I know I don't always get to join on Friday. So this is like, I got a little special time with you, which is really nice. Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
so much.
And thank you for sharing today, this day with Zach and with us, because I know it's a day that you three could just be together, and to welcome Soul Sisteries in with you on this day is
right.
a privilege.
All
So
set up. It was
Yeah.
all set up.
Exactly.
It
how
was
it's
all set up by us.
Nope.
exactly. Thank you, Zach. Thank
Yep.
you.
Set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. Good.
Thank
Anything
you guys
else?
so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
We love
We will
chatting.
talk
Thank you very
soon.
much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys. Good night. I
Have
know
a
it's
good
late
night.
for you. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's not late.
Thank you.
Oh, good. It's late for me for you, but okay. We'll see you guys soon.
See you later.
Thank you
Okay.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
later.
Thanks for joining us today on Soul Sisteries.
And thanks for sharing stories with us. We'd love to hear your stories as well and keep the conversation going, absolutely keeping the hope going. So we're really hopeful that you'll connect with our guests as well, who have great stories to share. Go ahead and follow them in various social media platforms or live venues, wherever it is that they're performing and sharing what they do.
We would love to have you follow us on all of our social media platforms, subscribe and rate, as that will help us get our message of hope out to others.
Thanks for listening to Soul Sisteries.